I don't normally say this, but this is one of those messages that is going to specifically find those who it needs to find, especially right now, especially with this current energy. I feel some of the things that I'm pulling here may get complicated when some might require it more simple at this time. So I'm going to try my best to simplify, and I will leave the rest in the description, especially for those who want to go deeper. Boredom is a big theme here. For those who this is for, maybe that's why I'm being pushed to simplify this message. This boredom is extending past, okay, I have nothing to do and I'm kind of bored. It is an energetic state. There is a blockage. Even when something has been seemingly fun in the past, or you have fun plans, maybe a trip, excitement is just really difficult for you to access at this time. In general, everything feels really flat, really uninteresting. And there's a lot of hyper-specifics coming through, but generally I see broader themes that I will lay out for you so we don't waste anyone's time in a message that isn't for you. There is a lot of boredom. It is seeping through aspects of your life. You feel that, I feel that. There's also a very long message about scrolling, doom scrolling, if you guys are familiar what that is. There's a lot of really hyper specifics I'm not going to get caught up on right away, but if that resonates with you, scrolling using your phone, there's methods of easing this boredom that you are using, that you are gripping onto right now. And at first glance, I think a lot might interpret this as a lack of motivation, especially with the increased phone usage or the scrolling. But what makes this different for me, what I can see here is like, you can actually force yourself to move. You can actually force momentum. You can put the phone down. It's not like you can't do any of that. It's a little bit more complicated than just a lack of motivation, a lack of momentum. The problem here is that when you start moving, when you are in motion, it is not exciting. Not that you cannot go in motion. It's just, it doesn't feel the same, basically. So who this message is for, there's a distinct threshold that was very clearly reached by you. And a threshold is defined as not being able to go back to who you once were. That's what Spirit is showing here, is you've already crossed this very distinct threshold line. You cannot go back. Those things that used to excite you will not excite you again. There are new exciting things coming for you. And so when you cross this threshold, it seems your environment did not cross with you. And that makes sense. You can't just pick up your whole world and move it with you. And so you're entertaining energetic things that you no longer are a match for. Energy wise. That's what I see here. And you're forcing momentum occasionally. You're pushing forward with momentum. You'll put down the phone. You'll try the old activities, but it's just not feeling right. You're just in this interesting space. Nothing's wrong. Nothing is hurting you. You're just bored. You just clearly have outgrown where you are, what you're doing, and you're passing time with forced momentum. You're pushing through sometimes when you wanna, and then you're kind of disappointed after you do that, even with the momentum. So not a lack of motivation, not a lack of drive, not a lack of willingness. This is very clearly for a very bored group of people, a group of people who never used to feel flat like this. And I see there's a definite inability to define what clearly would excite you. So you are just going through the old motions of what once did. So if boredom is a big theme for you, if everything I just described sounds like you, and you are wondering where your excitement is, this is your message. A ton of hyperspecifics are coming through. Today, there's a huge theme of languages that's coming through really strongly. Foreign languages, learning languages. I'm not sure the literal interpretation here, but I suppose you could be trying to learn a new language if it's just as simple as that, if that's relevant to you. I also kind of see you being in environments where others are speaking another language and it's like frequent around you. There's an exposure of this like foreign language around you that you can't quite translate over. Like maybe at work, this is a really specific example that came through. It was like a lot of people are speaking Spanish around you at work and you're kind of just in the middle of that. It doesn't have to be that you're trying to learn the language. It's just there's some sort of translation barrier of energy here. If it's not literal, it's definitely metaphoric here. The main thing that is trying to be communicated through this, through showing me you in these environments, is that there's a distinct experience that happens when you learn a new language. And There's a feeling when you cannot translate a word over cleanly. I don't know if you guys know when that happens, but like there's just this feeling like there's no word for what you're trying to say in your native tongue and it doesn't translate over cleanly. That's the feeling that keeps coming through strongly. And so a very specific Japanese phrase is coming through as well. I had to look it up. I had to pause. I'm going to definitely put it on the screen. Obviously, I am not Japanese, so I'd rather not offend anybody by mispronouncing or embarrassing myself. But the phrase has a clear meaning in English. Conceptually, we can understand what this means, but there's no direct translation to carry it over. In English, the phrase basically means when you meet someone and you just know that love is inevitable. And I think it's really profound that Spirit gave this today because it encompasses your whole reading. This phrase is like, you met someone, it hasn't happened yet, but you can very clearly, vividly see love. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. It's coming. You can feel it vividly. You have this premonition. You can feel it. And so this seems very clear from Spirit. Incoming love for you is going to come in and completely shift your reality. It's going to feel like you met someone and have this just rush of familiarity just hit you. Almost like you've loved them before. And this intense premonition of what's to come, the love that's to come, might kind of scare you, especially with where I see you are right now. And I sense this other person to experience something very similar. So this feeling of not having the word in your native language, like a word you can't translate, is symbolizing a lot of friction with this new person when they come in, at least at the very start. That's the energy that's coming through, is you're going to struggle to find a way to adapt to this new language, this new energy system. Your old language will not carry over cleanly, and that might provoke a little bit of distress about this. I think it's also naturally an uncomfortable experience. Like when we're upgrading an operating system, we want to fit our old pieces into the new. But this new person coming in is like miles ahead of your old experience. So the certain ways in which you used to connect in the past will have no translation now, or it'll be an empty gap space. There will not be a clean carryover at the beginning. So in other words, this new person coming in will be nothing like what you've experienced. And there will be times you don't have a translation for experiencing these feelings. And I see very clearly, by not having language to explain this, you will feel a little bit out of your element. You'll feel a little bit out of control. There's a little bit of a downside here with the upside of obviously upgrading an operating system. You can't have the good without the bad, I suppose. The first part of this reading is explaining to you the importance of love in connection to your boredom, especially at this time. You may sense a big love coming in. That may feel very clear to you when I say this, like whether the past is returning, a new person is on the horizon, you feel that. That sense is accurate. Your premonition is preparing you ahead of time because when this person arrives, it will leave you without language to describe the feeling. The feelings will be uncanny. So just from what I see here is like, this is the feeling of you're in another country and you're trying to communicate with your native language, and there will not be clear translations. So almost like you lose a little part of your old self in order to gain this new language. And at first that might feel disorienting because you're used to speaking this way. Your expression, your sense of humor, your identity is tied to your native tongue. So it's going to feel naturally misplaced, especially at first. And that's where I think this message from Spirit is calling your attention, is you'll feel so confused because you have this intuition like, wow, I'm going to fall so deeply in love. I feel love is coming so quickly, but the operating system and this language barrier will disorient that feeling. It will confuse it slightly. So you'll have conflicting signals. I see this kind of also relating to the past, but in a different way. Like if this does apply to a past person and you have a premonition about them returning, then it's sort of reversed. Like the operating system is different now in terms of you growing a lot and them not being able to communicate with that higher level. So like you guys had your native tongue together and then you grew and now they cannot communicate in that same native language. So this first part is explaining clearly the friction upcoming in an energetic sense. It's not literal language friction, although it might be literal. It is a distinct feeling of like a large gap between operating systems, whether that be with you and a past person or you and a future person. For the past, I really see you being miles ahead. And as for this new connection, they won't be ahead of you, but it will be nothing like what you've experienced. And you won't have language for that yet. I'm definitely feeling love. I'm definitely feeling the seventh house, Venus, lots of stuff. Love is a huge part of this, but time has no bounds here. I definitely see future love seems clear, but past love is playing a role as well. I kind of see that they're oddly connected. That's what this reading is really emphasizing here. And there's a lot of emphasis on the seventh house in Venus. So I will be sure to write those details in the description because for some of you, this could be a lot more specific. Definitely check out, on that note, what parts or transits are hitting your seventh house at this time. This could also be weirdly showing me this future connection, a cross synastry in the seventh house that is important. This could also just be your synastry with a past person. So again, check out charts. We'll leave stuff in the description if you're interested in that kind of stuff. Some of you aren't. But to be totally frank, I see a future partner is on the horizon. This is very distinct energy. If it's not already in your life, it's coming, and it's a powerful, commanding type of coming. Some of your boredom is connected to this incoming partner, which I find fascinating. Those who really resonate with boredom as a theme recently, maybe for a while now, there is a spiritual, deeper aspect here calling for what looks like a separate message. It looks like a longer tangent. The reason I'm not putting hyperspecifics that come up into main collective messages is because they deter from the main reading. The main reading has a clear message, and this has a whole separate message itself. So instead of making readings 18 hours long, this is just the way to do it, but very hyper specific. It is for those who feel boredom deep in their bones, feel a lack of excitement, and it could really be manifesting with relationships as a whole. I see boredom with dating, partners, just you're bored. Have I said bored enough? Okay. So the hyper-specific tangent is for those who cannot resolve boredom. There is phone usage that I think that separate message is going to get into. So if you're really cognizant of phone usage, distraction from this increasing boredom, I'll put the link on the screen and in the description for you. That is your hyper-specific message. Okay, back to this collective reading, what it's really saying here. It seems like the seventh house and Venus are pointing at me. They are saying this past connection is in relationship to your upcoming connection. This new person that's coming for you is going to dig up a lot of emotions almost immediately. You've been healing and preparing for this to occur, and some of you maybe feel the connection coming in already. Like you can sense it. You're being prepped for it at this time. For a lot of you, you have been healing certain aspects to experience such an intense recognition like this. Most people cannot meet someone so familiar in lifetimes. They aren't just given that level of recognition. It doesn't just happen to everybody. Most of the time when people experience a deep recognition type of connection like this, they have healed enough to be able to access that type of recognition. So in other words, you wouldn't be presented something that you're not an energetic match for. You wouldn't be presented deep soul recognition without knowing your own soul, and you gain access to this higher, deeper energy level, and you're calling them in now specifically based on all the work you've done. So you've spent a lot of time, what looks like working through the parts of yourself so you can register this person as deeply as they come. They are familiar to you immediately. That's why it's going to feel so disorienting to access such a feeling like this. It might feel surreal. You've never been this close to yourself spiritually, from what I can see. And so you've never felt this level of disorientation before. It's kind of your confirmation of your work that you get to feel so spiritually connected. You feel so deeply. That is your confirmation of how much healing work you have actually done. Spirit's just saying here, there's a specific learning curve in this deeper connection that is coming that is going to possibly, or more than likely, disorient you with this upcoming person. The past person could play a role here, but I see it looking much different. With this new person, it's like similar to learning a new language and not having the words to translate. There will be moments of feeling not able to sync. You might feel blindsided by the relationship as a whole. There is recognition almost intensely. It is overwhelming to some degree. You haven't physically caught up with the amount of recognition you're going to feel. You're going to feel like you have no language yet. Like this person is not in your native tongue. So, in other words, you and this new person might feel both intensely drawn to each other in a way you cannot name or articulate, but at the same time, you might feel like you just have been dropped off in another country with a whole new language and you're trying to communicate to each other, and it might feel disorienting at first. Almost like you cannot explain why you're so drawn to them, and you don't have the specific words to explain it either. For those of you that are maybe interested in the past, it is coming through here, and it could be both, I suppose. You might feel randomly pulled back to them, or they might have intense reconnection urges. But if you two reconnect, there might be this barrier, this language barrier on an energetic level. And that is because you are operating so much higher now that they don't have the same language to meet you. They would have to learn, they would have to extend to your level, learn the new language, be able to communicate to match this. So this message is kind of saying this new connection that is coming in, which is the most important part of this. The past might be important, but it's definitely focused on a future sense. This new connection is going to feel overwhelming because you'll be accessing an entirely new operating system that you have never seen before, while simultaneously being drawn to it. And so really the best way to describe this is just being dropped off in a foreign country and you don't have a translation method, but you're at the same time not wanting to leave that country. You're drawn to it. So you're just kind of operating with friction for a little bit as you orient to this person and this type of energy. I think Spirit wants you to hear this because there might be moments where this new connection feels wrong to you because of this translation energy gap. I think Spirit wants to highlight that it's just because you're making huge leaps in your operating system and it won't feel immediately seamless. It will not feel like the past because of how far you are leaping. The old partners or connections that you had, like that were in your native tongue that you could speak to effortlessly, those ones are now coming to you at a much higher vibration. So there's a lot of transitional space to feel like you've been dropped off in a new country because you have not experienced this before. This is all very new to you. You have never experienced such a high connection like this. So the message from Spirit today is not to have expectations of immediate resonance without friction. With this new person, it will be destabilizing because really it's not been accessed by most people, the level of depth here, the level of recognition that only comes when two people have really worked and healed themselves. And so it's very rare. But higher resonance is usually suppressed spiritually, and you have to do this deep inner work before you can even attract this type of person. So you may already be feeling prepared for this space. You might be feeling really out of your norm. You might be bored, and that's just spiritual preparation for what's to come. And really what is to come is temporary moments of disorientation while you adjust to this new country, this new language, this new operating system, and you get to experience a level of resonance and recognition that most people don't ever get to access that will confirm to you all of your hard work. Okay, so not part of the reading. This is just where I talk at you, my loves. I just wanted to let you know that I work diligently to provide a free sound for this collective because, lightly salted or not, I love you all the same. Very neutral here in this space. So this frequency that I'm sharing with you all today is about preparation for this deep type of resonance, this deep type of recognition. Preparing to experience such levels of recognition and familiarity is not always just like this huge, big, beautiful, peaceful moment. It can be very disorienting when two people connect this deeply. And so this frequency is to prepare the subconscious for that disorientation before your new language updates. There's also some sound layers here to remove blockages and continue for deeper healing for those recognition windows, to just encourage them to come quicker, remove blockages from the psyche, from the subconscious that might be getting in the way. And so ultimately, this sound is more recognition based. It is for deep soul recognition that is not always a big, beautiful, peaceful moment. It takes work, healing, and removal of blockages. I also wanted to let you guys know I did get an admin. I got a little secretary because emails were getting intense, okay? And since I'm making products, I know I have to be more I have to be more professional, okay? I can't just keep goofing around. I don't know if I'll ever be professional. But anyway, I have an admin. Her name is Pepper. She will be the one who will help with issues that we might run into. She's not for nudges. She's just for problems. And it's helpful because since I'm so protective of this space, she's like the way to respond in a way that doesn't affect my channeling, that doesn't make it not neutral. And so I also created a nudge email. And when I did this, I want to also make something clear because some of you guys are sending me some interesting energy. I wanted to make it clear that emails are not stronger nudges. I just realized I didn't explain what a nudge is. Some of you new people are like, what is this lady talking about? Nudges are how I channel so detailed. I keep it as neutral as possible because if I didn't, it would get crazy and some energies would dominate the space. And so anyway, so now I'm talking about the particular methods of nudging. I'm picking up that some of you think that they are stronger via email because they're more private. And sometimes it's actually better to have it all in a neutral space. But really, it doesn't make any difference. They're all the same. I prefer it all to be in one space because it's easier for me. But the reason I have the option is because some people are not comfortable publicly posting. And I want to create an option for those people because I don't want them to not nudge me. And so I just want to let you know it's all the same. It's just easier for me when it's all in one place, really. And so that's just a selfish desire of my own. And that's it. Okay. I love you guys dearly. Cheers, friends.